Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to a packed Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge. Yet another whopper of a show for you. We've got Charlie Austin coming up, Goal King extraordinaire. We've got Ryan Whelan, the hack that brought you the story about the sale of Harry McCurdy, Jack Payne, and Lewis Ward. We've got the latest on Hallam Hope up north, who, of course, we send our best to. We've got updates from Swindon Town Women FC, who are, as we speak, playing the Army somewhere in Wiltshire. We've got a review of Swindon 0, Gillingham 0. And we've got a preview of Swindon Town Newport for this coming Saturday. But of course, the cherry on top of our show cake, 7 appearances, 2 goals, 2 assists, a selfless work rate and a style of play reminiscent of a certain Jerry Yates. The lad that was getting written off by Barrow fans is certainly making waves in SN1. A former boot boy, nonetheless, of Charlie Austin, and a route through to the pro game not too dissimilar to Charlie himself. And it's a case of so far so good for this lad, affectionately known as Jacob Wakeling. There's an honesty, endeavour and an effervescence about tonight's special guest. A certain confidence that means he's already willing to make his Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge debut and answer your questions live tonight. Well, I am delighted to introduce Super Jacob Wakeling. How are we, Jake?
Are you all right, mate? Are you all right?
Yeah, very well, very well. Thank you for joining us this sort of late evening for you, I'm guessing, buddy. A busy day on the training ground for you tomorrow. We're going to try not to keep you up too late.
No, it's fine.
Jakey, I'll introduce you to my panel for tonight, buddy. So there's always an assortment of Swindon Town Gem fans in the crew with me. And tonight we've got Joe. Joe, how are you?
Hi, mate. Yeah, good, thank you. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, so you should, pal, and so you should. And Chris, good evening, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, Hannah's. All good here.
Listen to that effervescence in itself. And of course, the man that pours your pints, my pints, everyone's pints in the Legends Lounge. Mike, how are we, Mike?
What an intro. Yeah, I'm very well, thanks, mate. All good.
Hey, listen, you do the most important job. I mean, there's Jakey knocking the goals in, mate, but without your Guinness, Saturday's not the same, is it?
I appreciate it, mate. Top man.
So, Jakey, we've obviously caught up offline. You know the gist for this evening. We've requested that the Swindon Town faithful send in a bunch of questions to keep us ticking over for the evening, and they've certainly done that. We've got the weird, the wonderful, the requests for transparency, the wonderful stories, wonderful requests of the inside stories of your goals, mate. We've got a smorgasbord of questions for you tonight. So, how you feeling, bud? We all set?
Yeah, no, I'm feeling good. Yeah, looking forward to it.
And it's your media debut, Jakey. So, how does this feel? Not that we're piling the pressure on, pal.
No, it feels good. I'm looking forward to answering a few questions.
I can't believe that you avoid. First and foremost, how did you avoid the media up in Barrow?
I didn't play, so I suppose that's how.
Those idiots didn't know what they were missing, did they? Let's be honest. Well, listen, Jake, I'll get you rolling, mate. So your first question is, how have you found Swindon as a town? Are you living local or are you commuting? And that's from Steph via Twitter.
Yeah, I'm finding it really good at the moment. I'm commuting, but hopefully looking to move down. But no, it's been really good. I've loved my time so far here, and I'm just looking forward to the future.
And what is your hometown, Jake? Obviously, we're not going to go so far as to get us to share your address, but where were you born? Where you living now?
I'm born in a place called Bromsgrove. It's like south of Birmingham. So yeah, it's not too far.
Right, you are, pal. I think Joe's got the next one.
I have, yeah. It's not really a question. It's a bit of a stitch up, this one, but it's from STFC Frazzle on Twitter. He just says, in all capital letters, "I love this man." So our question is, can you confirm that you love STFC Frazzle back?
Yeah, I've seen a few fans on Twitter, showing support, and I really appreciate it. Obviously, didn't have the best of times, back end of last season. So it's really nice, to feel appreciated at a club.
Mate, you're a fan's favourite here already.
I think if you're STFC Frazzle, they're looking for specific words, something along the lines of "I love you, STFC Frazzle, Jakey." I reckon they're probably recording as we speak.
Love you too, mate.
Yes, there you go. Go on, Mike. Keep the momentum going, buddy.
Well, this is sort of a follow-on from the last question, really. Obviously, you've already sort of got a bit of a cult following at the town already, and we just want to know: do you understand how much affection the fan base sort of has for you already, especially sort of reminiscent of previous players and the effort you give, that kind of thing?
I think the first time I really noticed it was after the Rochdale game. Obviously, I came off in that game, and it's just like all the fans clapping, and there's a few standing up and clapping, and that's when I really took it in, and thought that these fans really appreciate how I'm playing, and it's really nice. Like, the fans have been brilliant with me, and the way I play, I think that just shows I appreciate them too, with all the hard work, because that essentially is my game. I give 110%, every single game, and I just really appreciate all the support that I'm getting.
Yeah, it shows, mate. It shows.
That's an understatement, isn't it?
Jakey, that's as a lad that's still very early in his career, though, and obviously you didn't have the best of times at Barrow. How odd must it be when you first noticed that? So, because I think sometimes it's very easy to forget that footballers are just human beings. But as you're trudging off the pitch, obviously you in your head, you say, right, I've got to keep a level head. Early days in my career, all of that stuff. But you hear people singing your name, or you look up in the stands. I'm like, what does that actually feel like as you're trudging off the pitch? And for your family, I'm guessing they must be super proud.
Yeah, my mum was at the Rochdale game, and she said, "Oh, when you came off, did you notice? There was a few standing ovations, and when I'm coming off, I do realise that." And last season I didn't play a lot of football, and it's just like there's nothing better for me than to be playing football, especially in front of such a good crowd, and I just really appreciate it, and it's like just nice to be wanted, as I said.
Well, this is a question from Pete Jakey on Twitter, and Pete's saying it's been frustrating not being able to play. Has it been frustrating not being able to play 90 minutes? And is that tactical or just down to pure fitness early in the season?
I think it's the manager's decision. How I play. I might be just I give it all on the pitch, like I said, 110%. And he feels that he needs to freshen it up, and it's the manager's decision. And there's times in the games where I have gave it all on the pitch, and I need to come off. You might be able to tell, but yeah, like, it's the manager's decision.
Right, you are. And we've got Chris has got a question for you about comparisons, buddy.
The Jerry
all right,
one.
All right, Jake. Obviously, the way you play is very similar to a player that we absolutely loved here a few years ago. Have you picked up on the comparisons that a lot of fans and a lot of people have given you with Jerry Yates?
Yeah, I've definitely picked up on that one.
Well, that's quite a comparison. That's quite a comparison, Jakey. You're not going to be going far wrong, mate, if you can keep that comparison up.
Yeah, he's a great player. I think I watched him in I think it was at League One, where he's for Blackpool. I think he got 20 odd goals, and that was the first time I really noticed him. And I think I watched one of the games. My dad even said to me, he was like, "Oh, that player, that Yates, he plays a lot like you." So even my dad picked up on it.
Yeah, I think Joe and I were commentating on the Woking game pre-season. I think that's when we first saw it. Obviously, I hadn't had a glimpse of you up until that stage. I think, Joe, you'll vouch, and it's not just me blowing sunshine up Jakey's rear end. I must have said that to you, within the first 5 minutes?
Yeah, literally. I mean, to be honest, we were pretty much just wetting ourselves watching you, Jake. Honestly, we don't know how you do it. You just run and run and run and run, and you don't stop. But enough of this. Jake plays like Jerry. I reckon Jerry plays like Jake.
Yeah. We're having a proper gush fest here, aren't we? Proper saying I'm not going to blow sunshine up his rear end, and you come out with those two superlatives, Joe.
We're all about love. We're all about love.
If it was a scratch and sniff show, mate, I reckon we'd get a bit of cheddar in right now. Right, what we got next? Joe, you're up, I believe.
Yeah. I've got another one from Pete on Twitter. He says, "Did you go off after the second blow on the Bonds? What? Oh, on the second blow on the Bonds, or was it tactical? In other words, was the plan to continue with an out striker?"
In what game? Sorry.
Oh, this would be Jill's, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So was the change tactical, or did you get a bit of an injury?
Yeah, I had a knock on the head, and I think that was just, I had a knock on the head, and I had another knock on the head. I think it was just precaution to bring me off.
Yeah, probably sensible. Obviously, interesting head injuries, Jakey, aren't they? I mean, is it frustrating? I mean, what's the sort of chat within football circles? Because obviously, earlier in the season, Kieran Brennan took a blow to the head and thought he was okay. The club thought he was okay, and then obviously he played against Salford, had a really, really difficult time, and said like he just wasn't right. Are the protocols kind of sort of frustrating for you guys, or because I mean, I grew up in an era where there were no protocols. I played in an era where there were no protocols, and people played with all kind of grisly head injuries. But obviously, there's so much more concern, and rightly so at the moment. How does it feel when you're actually sort of on the shop floor, as it were?
No, I just remember. Obviously, I've went to press the guy, and he's just like I had an elbow just side of my head, and I had a banging headache, and then obviously I've came back onto the pitch, went up for another header, and then he's hit the back of my head again. But I carried on, but then a few minutes later I came off, and like I said, it was just precaution, just in case, something was wrong. But I've done all the protocols after the game, the concussions and whatnot, and it was all okay.
Yeah, okay, mate, great stuff. Mike, you've got the next one, I believe.
Yeah. So next question is, have you had sort of any like funny encounters with fans? And if you have, what's been your sort of funniest encounter with fans?
I think there was one after the Rochdale game. You come out the players' entrance at the side of the stadium, and I'm walking to my car, and obviously have a few photos, sign a few autographs, and I'm walking to my car, and there's this one fan, and I think he he says like, "Oh, I'm here on a permanent." I go, "Oh yeah," and he goes, "Oh, I'll give you a 6 out of 10 today, mate." And that was against Rochdale. Yeah, I was thinking, I thought it was a bit better than a 6 out of 10.
Can you describe him for us, Jakey? Because I think all three of us and most of our listeners are going to know who you were speaking to at this stage.
Oh, I can't.
Did he have a hat?
I can't remember what he looks like.
Oh. Was he an older gentleman?
Yeah.
Did he have a red cap?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
well, so our illustrious owner met said gentleman, and I'm delighted to confirm, Jakey, you are confirming a rendezvous with the legend that is Football Phil.
Oh.
Football Phil has been going to Swindon as long as there has been football in Swindon, I believe, and yeah, he's got a very, very good knack at hijacking Swindon Town players. In that very, very that really does create a corridor of uncertainty, but a very different one to the one that you're used to. Let's just say that. But he's harmless as Football Phil. But Simon Ferry on his very successful podcast and show on YouTube tells some brilliant stories about Football Phil from the DiCanio era, mate. You should sink your teeth into those. You'll enjoy them. Hey, Chris, you've got the next one.
All right, Jake. Obviously, this season we've generally been playing with just the one striker up front with a couple of players off them. What's it like for you leading the line on your own? And is it the first time you've been asked to do this?
No, it's I know it's a lot different, but when I was in my academy days at West Brom, I always led the line in a 4-3-3. And in my head, I always believe I'm more than good enough to lead the line. I see a few things, on Twitter and everything about some of the fans saying, you need support up there. But essentially, I think I'm good enough to lead the line for Swindon. And, whatever formation we play, whether that's two at top, one or top, or even out wide, I'm always happy to be on the pitch and, put a shift in for the team wherever I play. And like I said, I'm just happy to be anywhere on the pitch.
So, because Jakey, I think the general assumption, like with the idea of leading the line, most people seem to think you've got to be like your archetypal number 9, back to goal, feeding the ball back into sort of either a 10 or attacking midfielders. But it's clearly that's a little bit of a generalisation, isn't it? And
yeah,
I mean, certainly against Woking, there was, it was an eye opener for me because you had yourself and obviously. These recently departed Mr. McCurdy playing up top together, two very, very high pressing players. So you're fundamentally I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not necessarily a case of just needing the big number 9, is it, to lead the line based on what you're saying?
No, every team's different. Some teams need a big number 9, to play off, but. Every player is different. Like my game's different to a big number 9, and like I said, I'm in my head, I'm more than good enough to lead the line. But whether it's a 1 or a 2, I'm just happy to be anywhere on the pitch.
Right, you are, buddy. Next question. This is from Mo on Insta. Mo says, "How did your move to SN1 come about for you, Jakey? What can you tell us?"
How it came about, obviously the season finished, and obviously I was out of contract at Leicester, and I just got a call saying, Swindon are interested in signing you, and then that was it. As soon as I heard Swindon were interested, I just wanted to go straight away. I know the season they had last season as well, just missing out on promotion. But yeah, I just wanted to go. The fan base is massive for a League Two team, and that's how it just came about.
Was there a chance that you might have gone anywhere else, Jake? Was there any interest from sort of anywhere else in the Football League? Was there a chance, for example, that Barrow could have come back in again for you? Appreciate you didn't get a lot of football there, but any other moves for you that might have happened?
There was a few, but I thought Swindon was the best for me and best for my development.
You big softy. Flattery will get you everywhere. What you got for us, Joe?
So next up, I've lost my question. Oh, there you go. Sorry, I was unprofessional. So I've got, what goes through a prospective signing's mind when you first pull up outside the county ground? What goes through your head when you first go to the county ground?
Well, the first thing that went through my head was just passing my medical, making sure there was no problems. But after that, it's just you just want to get on the training pitch as soon as possible, and show the manager and what you can do.
Did you have you been to the county ground before, or have you ever seen it before? Obviously, signing.
No, that was my my first time. Going to the county ground when I done the medical.
What are the differences of the pitch and Barrow last year? The pitch is pretty good at our place for League Two.
I'd say the stands for one. The stadium's great for League Two. Swindon is it's a very big stadium. Compared to Barrows. I think it's about 3,000 you can get there, and I think Swindon might be 10,000-15,000. So yeah, that's the main difference.
Do you as players get the feeling, obviously with the county ground being one of the best stadiums in the league, do you get the feeling sometimes that away fans come into the games thinking this is like a cup final for them because it's such a big ground?
Considering the ground's massive and how big the fan base is for Swindon, I feel like it's a big game for any opposing players and fans coming to the county ground.
So you got Michael. You're up next, buddy. What you got?
So obviously you spent a little bit of time at Barrow beforehand. Obviously you know with the town. How are you adjusting to life, not only in League Two but in Swindon sort of generally?
It's I think the main difference is just feeling a part a part of the team. You know, when I was at Barrow, obviously, I didn't play. And, you know, I didn't feel really a part of the team. I felt more just like a training player. But, you know, actually playing in games now, I feel part of a team. And I think that's like the main difference.
Yeah.
Jakey, are you jealous that Ronan Darcy Baby, who's listening to you as we speak, has got his own song, but you don't seem to have yours yet?
I've heard his song. I heard his song a few times, but a bit jealous, mate.
Well, I think we might just be able to get a Super Jacob Wakeling going on Saturday if you behave yourself and find the back of the net. We'll belt that one out from the county ground for you. But Ronan, good evening, buddy. Nice to see Ronan listening in. See if we can get a few more of the boys on as well, because a couple of them have already preloaded some banter for you, but we'll get onto that. We'll get onto that, Jakey. Right, where are we? Chris, you're up next.
All right, Jake, this is a very interesting one for you. If you could marry any of the current Swindon squad, who would it be, and why is it Saido Khan, the Smile Man?
Oh, I'd even be.
I'm not being funny, Jakey. I would pay great money to wake up to Saido Khan's smile every morning, mate. That is literally like taking an effervescent. The man's got the greatest smile in the world, and he's got the best demeanour as well. What a guy!
Yeah, no, he's a great guy.
Come on, Jakey, you're not getting out of it. You've got to marry a current member of the squad. Who's it going to be? You could say Ronan, because clearly he's listening in. You might just want to butter him up. I mean, the notion of running your hair through his flaxen locks, running your fingers through his flaxen locks might just be your thing. But, you know, listen, you've got to pick someone. Who's it going to be?
God, who would it be?
You're really looking forward to training tomorrow now, mate, and yeah.
Oh, I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue.
All right, we'll pick for you. Who can you see? Who can you see, Chris? Who can you see? Partnering Jakey.
Oh, it's got to be Ronan, hasn't it? It's got to be Ronan.
I'd say so. I reckon Ronan. I would probably say that, you know, Usher on the wedding day would be Saido. Got to be Saido. Probably best man, Angus, maybe. What do you reckon? Big Angus looking out.
No, it's got to be Frenchie.
Oh, Frenchie is best man. Yeah, I can see that. With what do you reckon? Ring bearer, Soul was ring bearer. Safe hands. You wouldn't want him dropping the ring.
No, Ben Gladwin, ring bearer.
Can Louis Reed just be in charge of the stag do?
Oh yes, please. I'll tell you what. Yeah, that's a great shout. Actually, Reedy looking after the stag do. Would you trust him, Jakey, with that?
Oh yeah.
Right. I'm up on the next one, mate. How would you describe, Jakey, the difference between Premier League 2 and League 2 football?
I think for me, the main difference is actually playing in games that actually mean something. You know, with under 23, you know, you win, lose, draw. It doesn't really matter, you know. But with, you know, the games now, like 3 points is, you know, massive for everything. It can, you know, because the league table, it matters whether promotion or playoffs. And I think another thing is just the physicality of the league. Like Premier League 2, you're playing against a lot of players who are your own age.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's just the main difference, just playing in games that mean something and the physicality of the leagues.
Mm. Okay, mate. Yeah, listen, we've got a question here from Rashawn Hepburn Murphy, who you may know, who said to ask, what weird stuff makes you nervous, Jakey?
What weird stuff makes me nervous?
Some of these questions seem to be doing the trick.
Some of the stuff that comes out Rush's mouth in the morning when we're in the car. That's what makes me nervous.
Hey, he reckons he's a lot quicker than you. Is that right?
Oh no, not a chance.
Oh mate, he literally says he's got you on toast.
Oh, not a chance. He is slow. He is.
Who's going to get more goals before the end of the year, you or him?
I'll back myself 100%. I'll get more goals.
He's a baller, Jakey, isn't he, Rushan?
Yeah, he's a good player. I think his CV speaks for himself. So
yeah, I'd still do him on Call of Duty. You can tell him that from me in the morning. What, Joe? You're up next.
Yeah, I've got a fairly simple question. Can you please describe the feeling of scoring your first senior goal? How was that for you?
I think every goal's the same for me. There's no better feeling than scoring a goal. But yeah, it's just it's an unreal feeling every goal that goes in for me. But yeah, it was just good for me to get off the mark. Get my first senior goal, and that's hopefully the first of many.
Does it on that, Jakey? Was there a feeling, or do you have any concerns as a pro, like getting the sort of the albatross off from around your neck? Like that. Get all the cliches out here, mate. Get the monkey off your back. Call it what you will. Clearly, strikers just like to hit the ground running, don't they? But are you the kind of guy that if you hadn't done what you'd done, that you would have been concerned by now if you hadn't scored?
Not really, because every game I go into, I always believe I'm going to score. But I knew with all the hard work, it's going to pay off with a goal. But it was just finding that right moment, when it just went in for me. So yeah.
I think that's where also people are comparing you with Jerry Yates as well, mate, because you two both seem to certainly from a facial expressions perspective, you enjoy it in the back of the net, pal, don't you? Just like Jerry did.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love every goal I score, whether it's a tap in or it's going in the top corner. All goals the same for me.
Well,
was there a difference? Sorry, Hannah.
That's all right.
I was going to say, was there a difference of when scoring at Carlisle in front of a few hundred away fans and then scoring at the county ground in front of like 9,000-10,000? Like how?
Obviously, it makes it's a better moment scoring at home in front of all the fans, but. Every goal's the same for me. Like it's the same feeling. It's just it's the best feeling scoring a goal. I'm sure any striker will tell you that. And yeah.
Well, we've got a different type of love for you here. A question from Steve Tyrell. And Mike, you've got this one, I believe.
Yep. So Steve asks, "What's your favourite biscuit, and do you dunk your biscuits as well?"
Favourite biscuits. I don't really eat biscuits, I'm not even just saying that.
You're not a big biscuit guy.
If I had to choose one, it would be like, be somewhere like a digestive or something.
Classy. I like it.
I think a biscuit says a lot about a person, Jakey. That is the most boring biscuit.
It's a workman-like biscuit.
I fell asleep at the Dodge. I was gone, mate. I can't even tempt you in with a little bit of pink wafer banter, Jakey. We can't even can't even go a little bit more exotic. You've gone digestive.
I'll keep it simple, mate.
Good God, man. Chris, you've got the next one.
Right, Jake. It's been a bit of an indifferent start for us with a lot of draws and whatnot. What gives you the belief that this squad will eventually click?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. We're a very good squad, and with the players and the experience we've got with the likes of Angus, Glads, Reedy, and a few young boys. We're a very good team, and eventually the results will come. But on that, I'll just say to the fans, just there was a few boos after the Gillingham game. We're only 6 games in, but just want to say, just be patient. We're a very good team, and we're all looking at the end goal, which is promotion at the end of the season. And if we all pull together and the fans are behind us, that will only push us on more, to reach promotion, which is the end goal. And we're a very good team and more than capable of doing well in this division.
It's like obviously we've generally been playing with one striker up front. In training, do you try playing 2 up front in different formations?
Yeah, we mix it up in training, and it's all down to what the staff want come match day. But we always believe in the game plan, and always think we're going to get the win every single game.
Slightly, I think there's a couple more questions along that line, Jake, you're moving forward, but a slightly lighter question here for you from Jay on Twitter, who asks, Jakey, there's a knock at your door. It's an agent with a luxurious luxurious WWE contract, and you accept it. What's your WWE stage name and uniform? Come on. Honestly, with all due respect, we've got Jake Wakeling on the bloody line, and people are asking questions about whether he's going to be wearing lycra and calling himself the Beast.
Oh, honestly, stage name. I wouldn't have a clue. You know, that'll take some thought to think of a stage name.
I could see you being like a Tasmanian devil type, personally, mate. I could see it being something along those lines. But what you're wearing then, Jakey? Come on, mate. What you're wearing?
You know, something like just what John Cena wears, them jean shorts, something like that, probably.
Right, we'll have to remember that, Joe. That's the Instagram job, mate, for straight after the show for the recorded promotion.
I'm already on
it. Joe, you've got the next one?
Yeah. So got a question here. I'm not too sure it's from. It says, I've been a Town fan for more than 50 years. I've seen all the ups and downs and all the players, great, good, and otherwise. You strike me as an earnest kid. After Saturday, I'm fascinated to know what you would say to our supporters given the chance. Well, you've said quite a lot already, but yeah.
Yeah, I would just say the same thing. You know, if we all, you know, if the whole of the fan base buys into the team and we all pull together in the right direction, they're the 12th man for us. And you know, every single game, if we've got the 12th man, you know, we're gonna get the win because you know. The fans might not realise this, but you know, with the fans behind us, you know, that pushes on the players so much more during like the back end of a game. If we're grinding out a 1-0, you know, and I'll just say, you know, be patient. I respect the fans go up and down the country. I completely get that. You know, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but you know, after the Gillingham game, we're 6 games in, and you know, I think what some of the fans anyway tend to forget is. It's a brand new team. You know, I don't know how many signings there've been this season, but we're a brand new team. And, you know, with the fans behind the new signings as well, that's only in the long term going to, you know, benefit the team with every single fan behind us buying into the team and pulling together in the right direction. That's what I would say.
Do you know, I had a conversation online today with a Leyton Orient fan who pointed out the fact that, you know, we are the only club to have taken points off of them this season because they essentially, whilst they had submerged themselves in all of our social media output, they were sort of this particular supporter was quite keen to point out the fact that, you know, similar to what you're saying, I guess, Jakey, seven games in, they're flying top of the league, 19 points, and we can sit there with a relatively proud record that we've actually managed to take a point off them. So it can't all be that bad. But I guess at the same time, Jake, I'm sure you probably appreciate the fans' frustrations. There's been a couple of performances against 10 men, and obviously you would like to think it's it's an easier feat taking points off of 10 men. But I mean, the gaffer was saying on Saturday, it's not always the case, is it? When you are pitch level, Jake, and you're playing against 10, like obviously at a pro level,
yeah.
What do you find is the toughest part of that? I know, like, you know, I mean, almost give us, if you can give it to us in layman's terms, but you know, there's a lot of, at the weekend, the gaffer obviously was talking about banking in, and you get a lot of football jargon. But in layman's terms, like if you were a fan watching the game, like how would you explain it to that fan?
I think it's very difficult against 10 because they're quite deep with their defending. Like the gaffer said, they're very, you know, they're banked in. There's not a lot of spaces to play in. And the only spaces are out wide. But it's just you got to make the right decisions at time, and it is hard. Like on the eye, you know, might seem they have 10 men. We should be battering them, but on pitch level, you know, it's very hard to break down a team with even with the extra man. It is very hard to break down a team, but you know, I understand the fans' frustration that game for I think it was for 80 minutes. I think they had 10 men, but you know, on pitch level, it's very hard. There's not a lot of spaces, you know, in the middle of the pitch, and unfortunately, we couldn't break them down and couldn't get the goal. But I'm sure next time, we will, score goals and go on to win the game.
Fair dues. Michael, I believe you've got the next one.
Yep, that is right. So the next question is how long have you signed on for with Town, Jake?
It's a year, then another year's option.
Oh, decent, nice. Glad to have you, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, let's stop mucking about. Let's get that option sorted, Jakey. I think you've done enough to impress. Certainly, I think the fans, if they were making that decision, pal, would be pressing the button already. Chris, what have you got next, bud?
Yeah, right, Jake. On away trips, who do you room with?
I normally room with Reece Devine, but obviously he's injured at the moment, so I'm rooming with Ricky at the moment.
And obviously, we room with them. Have you got a story about Ricky to tell us?
I haven't got a story to tell.
I think most fans would like to know how Ricky keeps that wonderful hair of his in check.
Oh, he always has a bottle of hairspray with him.
He has got the world's. Not only has he got the world's most beautiful tan, he's got the world's most beautiful coiffured hair. I'm a very, very, very Jake. You and I have met very, very fleetingly in person, and you'll know that there's hair envy for a good reason.
Yeah, a lot of hairspray, mate. That's what he brings.
He's a baller, isn't he, Jakey Ricky? Obviously against Palace, he came on, was literally kind of running the show against their under 21s. He's just got that ping on him, hasn't he, from distance? Like he's just got a wonderful strike on him.
Yeah, every player in our team's a very good player, and Rick's another one. Like is a very good player.
Right, here's one, mate. Tell us a funny story about one of your teammates, Jake.
It has to be something about Reece Devine. He is a character. Trying to think something about him now.
Is he? I mean, obviously, I'm guessing. Do you commute with Rashawn and Reece, or
yeah? So yeah,
what's he like to commute with? Is he decent in the car?
Yeah, so I commute with Reece, Rush, and Romeo. So it's us four, and it's a very funny drive down and drive back with them three. But, yeah.
You're being very diplomatic, Jakey. All right, it sounds like you've got some quality dirt on Reece. Is this one we've got to have to come back to, and you've got your feet under the table a little bit more? Or have you got anything in the armoury?
Definitely, there's quite a few things.
Joe, what you got next, mate?
Next up, I've got. What do you like most and dislike most about being a professional footballer?
Obviously the first thing for me is just playing in front of a big crowd of fans. There's nothing better than scoring and in front of a load of fans. But I would say the downside to it, I think some fans they forget you're human beings. I think at times with all like the criticism you get, because they can shout all stuff at you, during the games and all of that. But if you saw them out of football, out of the stadium, they just wouldn't say that to you.
Yeah, I mean, how do you find online reactions? Do you boys, as a squad, go through looking at Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and stuff? Do you look at sort of what fans are saying about the club?
No, I don't. I don't really think anyone goes out their way to go and like say look at all the comments or whatnot. I think for me, if it just comes up, I'll have a read, but I don't go out my way, looking for negative comments. I don't think that's good, for me anyway.
Yeah,
No.
don't think it's healthy. So, I mean, Jake, you're of a generation of footballers that are actually openly coming out now and speaking about the fact that, you know, some of the stuff that fans pelt out, not only in stadiums but also on social media, you know, that's actually being challenged now by professional footballers as like, why should that be accepted? I think there's been previous generations that have maybe asked the question, but it never really gathered any momentum. Whereas there's much more of an understanding, I think, these days about people's mental health, well-being, and what isn't acceptable. I mean, is that something that, certainly from a sort of player consciousness point of view, are those like sort of ongoing or sort of par for the course conversations amongst footballers in a dressing room, would you say, these days?
Yeah,
like, you all, I guess what I'm trying to say, are you all like looking out for each other, and you know, is that as an entity something that is explored more in the dressing room, as opposed to probably 10, 20 years ago, you just had to kind of keep a stiff upper lip and just get on with it, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, you know, you definitely have a point there. You know, I think it is talked about, you know, after some games, but like I said, I don't think any player goes on looking for negative comments, because I don't think that's good for, you know, no player. But like I said, I just come across it, and you know, there is stuff, you know, I see about some fans talk about players, and you know, I just don't think it's on what's said about players. Like, you know, for example, you know, I saw a few things when I signed. You know, I signed for, you know, Swindon, and you know, there's a few comments saying, you know, he's not good enough for any of that. But you know, how can you judge me when you haven't even seen me play? That type of stuff.
Very, very true. Well, I mean, listen, mate, we've got a special guest just joined the show, Jakey. Someone whose boots you used to clean.
Oh, I'm still waiting for my money.
Yeah, well, apparently so. So, Charlie, how are you, buddy? Good morning. Oh, he's probably, you know what he's doing, Jakey? He's literally probably just climbed out of bed and he's pouring the coffee. So he's trying not to wake up the kids and the missus. Charlie, can you hear us, bud, or should we give you an extra 5 minutes grace?
No, I've got you.
So, Charlie, you're on with your old boot boy, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Yourself? What's going on?
Yeah, very good. Jakey says that he's still waiting for his money, mate, from cleaning your boots.
My boots to be cleaned.
Jake, would you concur with that? Have you?
I was on them every single day. Single day.
You're a liar. Jacob on my boots. So don't.
Charlie, you've had an interesting week down under. Jakey, we'll give you 5 minutes breather while Charlie takes us through his Chazetta Football Australia. Got yourself a decent draw, Charlie, last pre-season game before it all starts going proper banzai. But an eventful game for you,
mate. It was all right. Do you know what? We played all right, to be fair. I give us that. They have a lot of money, Melbourne Victory, but it was a good run out for us. I only played 30 minutes. I played 90 minutes in that cup game on Wednesday. But anyway, mate, I've only come on and took an 89th minute penalty.
Yeah, you did.
And dinked it in the keeper's hands. Marky, I've never dinked the penalty in my life, and for some reason I've done it and put it straight in his hands and just started laughing.
Oh, what goes through your mind? I mean, look, Jakey, don't be a stranger, mate. You're a striker. You're all strikers here, but as a goalkeeper speaking. So I can only imagine the glee that went through the keeper's minds as that ball just sort of like drifts into his gloves. But yeah, Charlie,
do you know you were doing it, Charlie? Did you know you were doing it? Did you walk up to the ball thinking, "I know what I'm doing it, I'm dinking it"?
Idiot, absolute idiot. Yeah, I just thought.
Suffice to say, Charlie, it sounds like you won't be doing that again.
No, I won't be doing that again at all. I won't be doing that again. No, honestly, I just thought, I'm just going to dink this. It'll be all right. I walked up and dinked it. The next minute, he's caught it straight in his hands. I thought, oh, for Christ's sake, what a nightmare. But it was only a friendly, so it didn't matter. I won't do it. We got a semi-final on Sunday, so I won't be doing it Sunday.
Yeah, no, please don't do it Sunday, mate. So all eyes on you Sunday. I'm guessing the squad's shaping up well, mate. Are you feeling like you're slotted in now, like fully up to speed?
Yeah,
How's the
I don't
fitness?
feel too bad, to be fair. I'm just getting there. Listen, it's a weird one. The season don't start for another 4 weeks. till the 8th of October. The season don't start. Do you know what I mean? So it's a long old pre-season, especially when you're back in the UK.
So
It's like 5-6 weeks, ain't it? Do you know what I mean?
So if you win your semi-final, Charlie, is it a week or 2 weeks further down
Not
the
until
line
the
for the
1st of
final?
October, till the week before the season starts.
Right. Okay. So yeah, it's a bit of a gap. So what were you? I'm guessing you'll have a couple of
Yeah, we got a
tune-ups
couple of
between
games.
the
We play this game Sunday, then we play next Saturday, the following Saturday, and then we're here. Then, do you know what I mean? So we've got 2 more games plus if we get through to the final. So it's not too bad. It's all shaping. It's all shaping up all right, mate. But I just want the season to start now because like it's so long. Do you know what I mean? Because it feels like
for sure,
like ages ago. So, but no, other than that, mate, it's not too bad. Listen, it's one of them. We're just going through you go through the motions, don't you, through pre-season because it's so long over here. Back home is so short and you get stuck into it. But it's not too bad. But I know one thing, I've woken up to see Liverpool getting an absolute shoe-in the Champions League 4-1. So I turned that straight off. That's about it.
It's not a stellar footballing week, mate. We struggled on Saturday as Jakey's been so kindly taking us through. So another game against 10 men.
That's tough, mate. I'm not joking. That's playing against 10 men is tough. It doesn't matter opposition or where you're playing. You always seem to struggle against 10. And you've got the extra man. No one never seem to make the extra man count. Never seem to make it count unless obviously you've got a lead in front. Like that's tough. I'd seen it, but it just. This is going to sound not harsh as such, but it just sums up the town at the moment. We take one step forward and seem to take fucking 2 back.
Well, you've got the boy that's on with us tonight. You both had sort of similar kind of journeys, Charlie. So obviously you've started off at a club, then you've gone into like non-league and you've worked your way back up. Jakey, a similar journey for you, buddy, isn't it, as well? Starting off at the Baggies and then going off to Alvechurch and really sort of turning heads. And then getting your break back into the league. But unlike Charlie, where he kind of came in a little bit further down the Football League pyramid from Poole and then into Swindon Town, you sort of bounced straight back in and got yourself an opportunity right up the top of the tree, didn't you? But there are similarities with both your careers.
I've obviously got released from West Brom in a lockdown. Went down into non-league, step 3, and I love my time there. Thought it really developed me as a player.
Was that full time? Was it part time?
No, it was
it's different,
part-time.
Ain't it, when you go and play with people? Obviously, you come through the academy. I only knew, but it's different, ain't it, when you people play part time and on a Saturdays, like the football's their release. It's like their saviour from away from their job, ain't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, it was a very different experience when you be in a changing room with them type of lads who have jobs on top of playing football. Like they're just playing football for the love of the game rather than their job.
Charlie, so obviously Sydney for you at the weekend, Newport for Swindon. You got a prediction for us, mate, for Swindon at the weekend?
Like, Fizz can't keep a clean sheet. I'm going 2-1. 2-1 Swindon. It's got to turn around.
2-1 Swindon. I think, funny enough, I don't think many people expected Newport to be struggling the way they are. I appreciate it's still early doors, but they've had a draw, 4 defeats, couple of wins.
The thing is, the thing is, it could just be turned around because so many games come so quick, Mark. Because you play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, whatever, and you've got to get one right. For me, it's just frustrating watching seeing the results for the time. You can never put a run together. Nothing seems like it's going to be a 3, 4, 5 game winning streak. Do you know what I mean? And then start the season, then booster everything up. Do you know what I mean? At the moment, just I say one step forward, one step back. And listen, it's all going on. Like people start talking about the manager and outside stuff, and it's not getting on. And the rubbish. It's so early in the season, like you say. But it'd be nice just if we can put a run together, 3, 4 games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, Jakey, you're obviously best placed to say this because you're part of the squad, but
Jake,
I was mentioning about the Leyton Orient. Yeah, Jakey, I was talking about a Leyton Orient fan that I was engaging with today, and I was saying that you guys are obviously taking points off of us. So, what's the feeling in the dressing room? Is it a question like clearly draw, win, draw? You guys must be sort of. I'm hopeful. You're super optimistic. You'll be turning those draws into wins.
Oh yeah, definitely. We've only lost one game, and it just takes getting a run together to really kickstart the season. But the change room we have and the players we have, I do believe it will come, like the performances and the goals and the wins, and a really good run will come in the season.
Fine margins as well, Jake. I mean, on Saturday, obviously, you would have expected Lukey Jeffcott with his pedigree to put that chance away, but at the same time, he's not been playing a lot of football. It literally could have gone either way, couldn't it? Appreciate it wasn't necessarily, from a fan's perspective, wasn't necessarily a performance that had us all knocking at the knees, but that could so easily have gone from a point to 3. Can I appreciate Jules could have nicked it as well, but still, it's
Mark,
I hate to use that cliche.
I've known you for long enough. I know that wasn't your opinion at about 5:10 that Jeffcott hasn't played a few games. Don't give me that. Don't give me that bollocks. 5:10 Saturday afternoon. You wasn't thinking, oh, it's all right. You get another one because he ain't played for a few games. Let me tell you that. Sure.
Yeah, Charlie. Listen. There's a reason I'm bald as a coot, mate. There is a reason I'm bald as a coot. Most Saturdays I'd spent pulling my hair out up until about 4 or 5 years ago. So I think you're probably right. But listen, Charlie, we'll wish you all the best, mate. Appreciate you got a busy day ahead. You're on TalkSport later, aren't you?
I can't. Do you know what? I've gone to bed last night thinking happy days. I'm going to stick it on Cundy about Chelsea. I've woken up to Liverpool getting a shoeing. So I can't really say a lot. But yeah, I'm on this morning. Just keep that going, talk with the boys, and that's about it. But I'm currently stood outside in my garden with my dog and a cup of tea. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's about 19 degrees.
We can hear that Aussie wildlife in the background
mate,
as
just
well.
before we go, me and the old boy got attacked by a fucking magpie the other day. They ain't front.
I saw that, Fred, man. That was so funny. I saw that, Fred.
They ain't like the English magpies, mate. These things are fucking like, boom. So we're walking. He's on electric. Honestly, listen to this. He's on his electric scooter, right? And I was walking the dog. Next minute, this fucking magpie come fucking like swooping down and got off. And I thought, what's going on here? Anyway, me and the little man walked on a little bit more. He's come down again, right? I thought, what's going on? I thought, no, this ain't right. So I got Hunter's like buried into me. I've got his helmet in one hand. I was thinking, if he comes down it closer, mate, I'm belting this one. I promise you, mate, he has followed me about 500 metres back to my house, mate, and he swooped about 3 or 4 times. So I've got Hunter buried into like my ribs. I'm pulling along his electric scooter whilst the dog's pulling me along. Oh, mate, it was a traumatic experience, let me tell you.
Well, yeah, mate, it sounds like it. It's swooping season, though, mate. You're going to have to get used to that.
Swooping season? What's that?
It sounds like Jade in between us. We're knocking out koalas.
Honestly, mate, it's not even. Mate, they tell you you've got to be sharks, spiders, and snakes over it. Fucking ain't magpies.
It's the magpies. Who would have thought it?
Go on, mate. Jakey, good luck at the weekend, boys. All right, you take it steady.
Cheers, mate.
Likewise, mate. Slot one at Sydney for us, won't you?
Bye.
Take care, buddy.
You like, mate.
Charlie Austin, ladies and gentlemen, great guy, Jakey Charlie, isn't he? When you were at West Brom, did you have a lot of contact with him, or were you sort of so junior you were detached from it all?
I think with West Brom, when I first started my scholarship there, everyone kind of interacted, eating together. Then there was like, new technical director, and he changed it all. Just like separated everyone. First team to youth team. They changed the media room to under 18s, 23s eating area where we was in like the canteen with everyone. But I think that was when Charlie was there. When I was at West Brom, that all changed.
Nah, right, I've got you. Well, listen, mate, we're right on the anchor leg with some of these questions now. So, Mike, you've got one in relation to the switch from Leicester to Swindon, I believe.
Yeah. So the question is, how difficult did you find it switching from Leicester to Swindon?
I didn't find it, difficult at all, really. I've been changed at a few clubs now, and I'm not really. It doesn't really, faze me. It wasn't difficult at all, but maybe just going to a dressing room full time as a first team, like as a first team player.
Yeah. Do you reckon you find it a little bit easier? Just like, is there a reason behind that? You just laser focused on your football, or what makes it easy, sort of like a little bit easier to transition?
I think I'm just focused on the football. Like first and foremost, that's what I want to do. I want to perform well on the pitch. But there was a few lads who I knew when I came here at Swindon anyway, so that probably made it a bit easier with the likes of Ty, who I played with at Leicester. Obviously I played with Romeo at Barrow. I already knew Reece prior to going to Swindon anyway. So that probably made it easier.
Nice.
Also, we've got a few what you might describe as senior pros. We've got a very young squad, Jakey, at Swindon as well. So I guess the notion of a senior pro, for want of a better word, at Swindon. I mean, I'm sure there's the leadership group with the likes of Willow and Gladders and Angus, but at the same time, you're one of those players. Your work rate speaks for itself, like leading by example. So I guess what I'm trying to politely say is, even though you're a young guy, you're almost like, I don't know, you're sort of setting the example yourself, aren't you, some of the other younger lads in terms of how it should be done?
I think, the older players drive, like the more senior players drive that in the team, that hard work, and, they've been really good to me and the other young players. And I think that it stems from, that core.
A good evening to Jake O'Brien, former Swindon Town lone ledge. Hello, Jakey. Great to see you tuning in, fella. Hope things are going well for you over in Volendam. Right, what we got for Chris? You got the next question, I believe.
Oh yeah, Jake. Obviously, when you've got the signings and whatnot, and obviously we're being released from Leicester between signing for Swindon, but generally, what did you get to over the summer?
It was just switching off from football. That's the main thing. I went on holiday, but after I come back from holiday, it was just about cracking on. Getting a new club. Obviously at Swindon now, and it's just focusing on football as soon as I switched off from it. But like the main thing, it was just enjoying myself. Going out with a few mates, seeing them, spending time with my family. Some good quality time. But just switching off from football.
Jakey, how difficult is it to switch off from football when obviously a lot of players I know still keep their sort of have your keep fit regimes in place so you can come back in pre-season, hit the ground running. You don't tend to stop, do you, as players? Even if you go away, you still seem to sort of keep things ticking over. So is it possible to sort of kind of mentally switch off because you haven't got a ball at your feet, or are you the kind of lad that you can literally take a break for a couple of weeks and get back to it? How's that work for you?
I think it was harder for me this season, this summer just gone, because obviously I haven't played a lot of football. My last game was February for Barrow, so, and then obviously I was out of contract at Leicester, and I didn't have a club. But I felt the main thing was just switching off from all of that, and then having some downtime, and then just refocus towards the end of that, and really focus on getting myself fit, and hit the ground running when I found a new team.
Nice compliment for you here, Jakey. You'll like this. Josephine STFC says to say Jacob Wakeling has the best accent. How about that? There you go, Josephine. Read it out for you. Right, what we got next? This is one for me. So, right, Jakey, this is maybe a conversation about when you boys are all in the car. But what are your top 5 albums in no particular order? So, music question for you, Jakey. Your top 5 albums, no particular order.
I listen to a lot of Drake. So it would just have to be just his albums. Like, I'm a massive Drake fan, so it would just have to be any of his albums. Just a lot of music. That's what I listen to before games and after games.
Right. So when you hit the back of the net on Saturday, I want you to run to the town end and scream at the top of your voice, "Trust me, Daddy."
I don't think I'll be doing that.
That's the new Vamos, Jakey. Trust me, Daddy. So a lot of Drake. So fair to say that you probably have. Well, I don't know. I don't think he's had 5 albums, has he yet? He's probably on about 3 or 4.
Oh yeah, he's had 5 albums. Just any of his albums, you know.
All right, we'll go with that. Joe, what you got next, mate? Your penultimate question. You'll be pleased to know, Jakey, and then we're going to release you off into the night.
Yeah, so second to last, got a nice, easy question, or I say easy. Trading tomorrow might be frosty, depending on the answer. Who would you say is the most underrated member of the town squad?
Oh, that's a good question. Who would it be? There's a load of good players. Underrated, I would have to say either Willow, I think, is very underrated. He's so good.
Willow's not underrated. He's played the World Cup.
Nice try, Jakey.
Either Willow or Ronan Darcy.
Ronan Darcy, baby. What a baller. Listen, you're going to have no complaints there. Technician extraordinaire as far as I'm concerned. But no, I mean, the thing is, we've got so many jewels, haven't we? In our, like, we're blessed with great midfielders, Jakey, in our squad, haven't we? I mean, it must be tricky for the gaffer, because obviously, whilst I appreciate the gaffer's obviously played a role in putting that squad together, he's literally sport for choice, isn't he? Because, you know, you couldn't, I mean, you could, for every player that you might want to select, there's an argument for like why you simply cannot drop a player that's in the lineup, but then obviously you'll have people moaning about results and using that as an excuse and so on and so forth. But I mean, there's no way, if you think about it this way, it's very, very difficult to even imagine Swindon Town. If you, from a fan's point of view, if you rewind 3 years and told me that we're going to be in League Two and have a midfield that consists of Louis Reed, Johnny Williams, Ben Gladwin, I'd literally be laughing at you. And then before we even get on to players like Saidu Khan and Ronan Darcy, I mean, it's embarrassing how good our midfield options are, isn't it? Not fair to say, Jake. Not quite, don't seem to have quite clicked. But I mean, my message, I don't know. I'm almost putting a message out to fans myself. Like, class is permanent, is what I think I'll probably say about our players, like as particularly those midfield options.
Yeah, like I said, the team is very, very good, and you know, I don't think a lot of people realise that. Like, once we get going, we will be a very, very good team, and you know, the end goal is promotion, and I more than believe, you know, we're going to achieve that. And like I said, with everyone pulling in the right direction, all the fans pulling into the right direction, buying into this team, you know, win, lose or draw, you know, we're all going to achieve the same thing, and ultimately everyone wants the same thing, and that's promotion.
Oh, well, you've kind of, listen, you needed to keep your powder dry, because just looking at this next question, which Michael's about to read you might want to take a second just to pause and kind of almost like do a little remix of what you just said, Jake. Go on, Michael. I don't mean to steal your thunder.
That's all right. No worries. So yeah, the final question. Obviously, you've said a lot about pulling together and getting behind the players, but if there's one thing that you could sort of say in conclusion to the town fans, what would that sort of be?
Just stick with the team. You know, it's early days. You know, I think there's 30 odd league games to go, and ultimately, we as players, we want promotion. You know, that's what we set out to do, and you know, I believe we're going to achieve that. But with the fans, every single fan, you know, in the right direction, and they're believing in the team as well, and believing in the end goal, and they're being the 12th man every single game. You know, it's going to even motivate us even more on the pitch. You know, like I touched on earlier, them games where we're winning 1-0, you know, it's in, you know, the 80th minute, we're all knackered, them just pushing us on to the win. And yeah, just everyone in the right direction, buying into the team. You know, we've only had 6 games. I think not a lot of people realise that the transfer window's just closed. Now we've, you know, got our squad for the season, you know, and wins will come. Like, believe me, like, wins will come, and it'll all come together. But it's just about being patient.
Jake, have you got time for one more question that's coming from Josh?
Yeah, no problem.
So, Josh says, Jakey, have you got any pre-match superstitions?
No, like, I've never been to one to have superstitions. Like, I know some players like tie their left boot on first, or they have to step onto the pitch with a certain foot. But no, I've never been one to have superstition to just get on the pitch and I'll just play.
Absolutely. Listen, Jakey, I don't mean to sound like patronising dad here, mate, but you're a delightful young chap. As far as we're concerned, mate, like the reason why you've become so massively popular, as well as finding the back of the net, you got brilliant attitude, you speak fantastically well, and you just work your ass off for the shirt. And that is obviously you've set your standards, mate. But you're the kind of kid where we don't get the impression you're ever going to drop those. So, mate, I just want to say, like, certainly from us and all the Swindon Town fans so far this season, thank you for everything you're putting in. And obviously, we wish you you and all the boys wish you a massive amount of good luck on Saturday. Well, a couple of big home games coming up. Obviously, we've got Newport Saturday and we've got Sutton on Tuesday. I was just going to round off by asking you, like, what's the vibe? How are you guys all feeling? All fired up, raring to go for Saturday, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing at home again. And playing in front of all the fans, and hopefully it'll be an absolutely amazing atmosphere. We'll get the win, and I'll get on the score sheet.
Well, listen, we're going to hold you to that. Remember what I said, mate. Straight to the town end. I want a little flick of the fingers, bit of Ian Wright. Trust me, Daddy. If I don't see that coming out of your mouth, mate, on Saturday, there's going to be hell to pay up outside the Arkles at full time.
Thanks for having me anyway. Really appreciate it.
And STFC Frazzle is sending you on your way saying, Jake, I love you. What a perfect way to finish. Jakey, top lad. Thanks ever so much, pal. Look after yourself. Best of luck for the weekend.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Set up, pal.
Cheers, Jake.
Cheers, Jake.
Oh, Jakey Wakeling. Jakey Wakeling. He's a dream, Chris, isn't he? He's an absolute, he's a dream. He's the... Oh. As I said, without meaning to get sort of too gushy, it's very, very hard to not love a lad that kind of puts himself about in the way that Jakey does. Obviously, he's not the biggest lad, but he's not the smallest either. Just bags and bags of energy, bags and bags of sort of application, eye for goal. I mean, I think as Joe will testify, Chris, like pre-season, we went to the Woking game and it literally took about 5-10 minutes, and Joe and I were like, bloody hell, like, waspish was the word I think I used about 10 times to describe him. He must be a pain in the arse if you're a job in League Two centre back to play against.
Well, that's the thing is when you watch it. I mean, obviously you can see it a bit more when you're there, and I've been to a couple of games and I've seen the way he presses and whatnot. He just doesn't give up. He'll run all day, which is probably why he's only lasted 70 minutes. Because he pretty much runs all day. And
well, I think that's the thing, Chris.
He'll chase every lost cause.
If you're the gaffer, it's got to be like it. He puts so much into the game. Like, it's got to kind of feel like a natural thing to do. You want to protect your player. Obviously, you've got a long season ahead. You kind of, as players, I guess, as the oppositions get a little bit tired towards the end of the game, I'm sure it crosses his mind about like picking up injuries and stuff. At the same time, we as fans don't want to see our best players coming off towards the end of the game when we're not winning that game, because you kind of think, look, that's where your goals are. But what a player, and what a mature head on his shoulders as well. I mean, I will point out that obviously we request players from the football club, and you kind of expect. I appreciate we've not got the oldest squad in the world, but you kind of expect the older pros to be the ones sort of stepping up. But I should stress this week that Jakey was very, very keen from what I hear from the club to put his hands up, come on the show, have a chat with fans. Very, very mature head on young shoulders, and such confidence as well, boys. It really shone through tonight, didn't it?
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, it gave us so much insight and whatnot, and that's what fans want to know. They want to see, especially when the season's not been as good as it could be, to see what it's like in the squad, and that they're still pretty confident, they're still up there, and everything, and they're trying different things, and that's what we want to hear.
Well, it's an interesting one. I mean, look, I'll get your take on this, Mike. Jakey's effectively called out the fan base, hasn't he? Jakey's done a little bit of a Richie Wellens stroke Harry McCurdy tonight. We kind of stick with us. he mentioned earlier in the questions that obviously he was aware that there was some booing on Saturday. And whilst he understood that obviously the fans travel and obviously this is a very, very emotive topic, he's kind of saying, look, stick with us. Talent is, he's mentioned all the things that the aforementioned Wellens and McCurdy have said. We've got good players. We believe in each other, believe in where we're going. Promotion is the goal, but we kind of need you there behind us. I think, obviously, he's mentioned it being early in the season. I mean, depending on what sort of portions of social media you listen to, 7 games played, 8 if you include, or 9 if you include the 2 cups. For some people, that's more than enough games, to make a judgment. Others will reference Paolo Di Canio and sort of 13 odd games before it clicked. I mean, I think the Leyton Orient reference that's a genuine reference from today. Me engaging with an Orient fan. I mean, it's easy to forget that, isn't it, Mike? That we've literally, we're the only team in the league to have taken points off Orient, and we're unbeaten in the league since Harrogate. It's like there is a definite glass half full argument for some of the things we're seeing. But I hasten to add, anyone that saw my comments on Saturday after the game, Charlie kind of alluded to them, that I certainly wasn't cock a hoop at the nature of the performance, and I'll find sugar coated in most things, but it's a tricky time, isn't it? Calling for patience. It's you kind of see where he's coming from. How are you feeling about it, Mike? I mean, do you look through our side? Like, do you see enough quality to kind of go, no, look, we're going to be there or thereabouts at the end of the year? Are you still feeling that way?
100%. Like especially when you actually look at like the squad that we've got. Like Jake said, there are quality players there, and we have a contingency of people. Obviously, everyone's got their own opinions. That's the beauty of football. Some people say we might not have as good a squad as we did last year, and at the end of the day, it still remains to be seen. I agree. So far, the performances haven't been what we wanted yet, but as Jake said, there's still 30 odd games left. I think it's far too early to write off the season as a whole. And as people have rightly pointed out before, I know it annoys some people, but at the end of the day, it's relevant. It is relevant that you can have a bad start to the season and then get into your sort of stride later on. So I respect Jake for calling out. I wouldn't say it was directly calling out the fans, but it was sort of more like encouraging more support. And at the end of the day, we're supporters, we're fans. We're supposed to support the team. And like I'm not saying that anyone shouldn't have their own opinion. I respect that, but I think especially at the games, like if we can translate our positive energy onto the players, onto the pitch, and that then translate into a better performance, then obviously as fans, surely that's what we want. So yeah, fair play to Jake. And as you said, I really do feel like he speaks quite maturely, and he seems, as you said, laser sort of focused on football. That's really sort of stood out to me.
Yeah, well,
one thing about that as well, Hannah, I will say, probably about, obviously you're roughly the same age as me. If we go back to the 85-86 season, when we set our record for the most points in the season, we lost five of the first 6 games, and then ended up with 102 points.
Yep. So, and this is the thing. I think for me, I mentioned we were talking about the midfield, and the more and more you dig around our squad, and I know our performances aren't amazing at the moment, but it does. The more I've thought about it this week in the cold light of day after Saturday, when you get past the kind of the sort of the raw frustration, annoyance, call it what you will, not being able to beat 10 men, I think fueled by comments that Charlie Austin was making, you've got respected pros that will tell you, look, it's tough playing against 10 men. But by the time you sort of let the emotion drift out of that, and then you look at the league, and then like you said, you can always find things to plug in to our current predicament and say, do you know what, we're doing all right. Like, we are doing all right. It's going to happen. I think as Jakey seems pretty confident that all the boys are feeling like, we're not a million miles off of turning some of these points into wins. And I mean, on Saturday, we absolutely could have done that. Like, Jeff Cott buries that chance. Tyree Shades had a couple of great chances. Appreciate they've broken on us and hit the post as well. But I think we're going to see a lot of that this season because of the way we play. I think, when we're committing to attack, we're committing in numbers. So we're always liable to get hit on the break. But I think, listen, I'll just put it to you, Joe. You'll recall, obviously, Harry last year calling out sections of our fan base. Look, let's do this together. Essentially, that's not the language necessarily that Jakey used, but it's a calling out of sorts there, isn't it? In the same way that Richie and Harry did. Yeah. Do you, if you're a Swindon fan off the back of recent performances, is that, I can't think of a better player, if you will. If you look at our squad, I can't think of a better player. Like, it's hard to criticise anything that Jake has done this season or ask him who the hell do you think you are, saying stuff like that. Like, it's well placed comments, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you say, of the squad, I think Jake's probably been the sort of light bulb player. He's been shining, I guess. It's just the effort any player in red that we see in any given season, we want to be seeing the effort that Jake puts in. He's clearly working his absolute arse off every single game. It's only right that the fans give the players the opportunity and the platform to be doing that and performing. I think the biggest thing this season, every Saturday or any game that we drop points or we're disappointed. We're disappointed because we know we can do better. We know we've got the squad, we've got the players at our disposal to get out of this division. We're better than any team in this league, I think, on our day. And, if we draw a game or we lose a game, we're disappointed because we know we could be winning that. So it's just, it's finding that middle ground. I think any fans that are grumbling, they're just disappointed. But they need to, every Saturday's a new match day. Come in there, give your best, sing your heart out, and get behind the boys. I think you look at when Richie and when Harry made those sort of call outs to the fans, the reaction we got was big. So hopefully this could be a kick up the arse and bring some similar results.
Well, let's hope Mr. Leafield and the chaps at BBC Radio Wiltshire have picked up on some of what Jakey said tonight. Feel free, ladies and gentlemen, to quote us or take your snippets and bang it onto your radio shows, because I do think some of the comments that Jakey's come out with are need to be said. Certain sections of the fan base need to hear it. I think, certainly just to give this a little bit of perspective, we're currently sat in 14th in the table on 8 points. We win a couple of games on the bounce, and we are well inside the playoff push, if not looking at the automatic spots already. And there we are and that will be with 9 games played in the league. However, obviously the caveat to that is, Newport and Sutton, no matter which way you cut it, as early in the season as it is, I mean, Chris, they're still 2 big games, aren't they? I think it will make for a fairly interesting atmosphere if we don't manage to pick up 6 points from those 2 home games, won't it?
Well, it will be. These 2 games are massive. Which, however you think about everything, it's if we don't win at least one of them, then I just think it's going to be a tough thing. But we've seen stuff. I think Gillingham were really slow, and but I'm quite excited to see that when we get into that with Hepburn, Murphy, and Morgan Roberts, or even trying Wakeling and Jeff got together. There's the positives of that, but the next 2 games are massive for us. They really are, and it's not so much what points we get from that, but it's more the what we get from the fans.
What's your minimum points take, Chris, that you'd be content with? Has it got to be 6 points?
No, for me, I think it has to be a minimum of 4.
Yeah, you'd be quite happy with a 4-point haul.
If we take 4 points, I'll take that, but because Doncaster and Grimsby after that are 2 tricky away games.
Well, obviously Newport, I wouldn't exactly say stinking out the place, but essentially draw, lost, win, loss. So not exactly stellar form, and yet despite the fact that they've got that's an interesting comparison, Chris. Whose record would you rather have? Would you rather have us? Would you rather have Newport with a couple of wins up their sleeve, or would you rather have us with the because depending on who you listen to on the socials,
I don't know.
They would almost like. It's almost like they want us to take more risks. Yeah. If we're taking more risks, the chances of us are that we're going to lose more games. So we're unbeaten in the league since the first game of the season. But I still believe that there will be some sections of the town support that will probably be looking at Newport and going, yeah, but they got 2 wins. And we've got,
Speaking about Newport, I would rather have won 4-0 at Harrogate than I would have lost 3-0.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, Joe.
I don't think it's so much about the record. I think it's about the way we're playing and how we look. Because sometimes, that's a big difference there. If you're close, whatnot. And I think we just need to be a bit quicker. We just need to get more people forward.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chris. I mean, I mentioned on Saturday, I think I tweeted straight after the game that for me it was just a question of tempo. What I like to see personally, if you're playing against 10 men, and I know it's easy for me to say from the comfort of my armchair, but I like to see the ball being moved quicker. I like to see them being pulled around. I mean, the thing about any Neil Harris side is that they're always going to be so well drilled. They're not going to be lacking any kind of fitness. So, like I said, it's easy for me to sort of judge from a distance when you're pitch side. I'm sure the town boys would be saying that it's like, they were literally, they're playing against a super fit bunch of individuals. That's what Millwall. I mean, I live just down the road from Millwall. Millwall fans will tell you that is a trait of Neil Harris football.
The thing with that, though, is as well as when you're playing against 10 men, you need to ping the ball around quickly, pull them out of position, tire them out, and then later on, that's when you go for the kill. But we were just too lethargic, I thought. But it's like we didn't want to go and win it.
It's one of those. Playing against 10 men, they put everyone behind the ball. They just take it out the backside for 80 minutes in this case. It's probably more tiring for our boys trying to make triangles and find room to pass to each other.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, listen, we've had SM1 Insider has just tweeted and said, I admire Vinny J's positivity. It's probably more my positivity, to be fair, SM1 Insider. But it's borderline delusional from you guys this evening. I'd like to know what he's seen to suggest we have as good a team as any in this league. Great listeners always, chaps. Great. Jake came across really well. Well, thank you, SM1 Insider. That's very, very kind. I think... I don't know which of you wants to reply to that. I mean, it's directed at you, Joe, but I don't know whether it's my positivity that he's taking aim at there. What?
No. I mean, in terms of, when I said we've got one of the best squads in the league, I feel like tangibly you can't really deny it. If you look on paper at players like I say Ben Gladwin, a midfielder Ben Gladwin, Louis Reed, and Johnny Williams, it's arguably a lower half championship midfield. You've got, Louis Reed, I know he's not played the Championship, but we might have had a few games for Sheffield United, but he was probably the best number 6 in League 2 last year, maybe top 3 or 4 in the League 1 and League 2. Ben Gladwin has he's played for, Blackburn and QPR in the Championship and held his own. And then you've got Johnny Williams, as I say, he's been playing in European Championships. He'll probably go to Qatar in December. Yeah, in paper, that midfield is very, 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 very good for League 2. Then you've got a defender in Angus MacDonald who's, if he hadn't struggled with illness and sort of personal issues away from football, he'd probably still be playing top-end League 1, bottom-half Championship football.
Yeah.
Captaining, Barnsley, Hull.
One thing I'll say from my initial views of MacDonald is, as a defender, he's great, whatnot. But he gets caught very often on the ball. So I think with the way we play, sometimes coming out, I think that's where and I think a lot of teams are targeting him because he's not as good on the ball as Clayton is, and as the fullbacks are.
It's probably a symptom of
as a
playing
defender,
Championship
he's brilliant.
football mainly, though. Like, he's played at a level where in the Championship, it's basically what the Premier League was 10, 15 years ago. So defenders and goalkeepers get time on the ball because the strikers won't press them. They wait for them to come across the halfway line, and they'll sort of zonal mark the pitch even when they're out of possession.
I think we also need to cut Angus a little bit of slack as well. As Jakey's saying, we've got. Angus has come in right at the end of our pre-season, so he's had a pre-season at another club, and we don't know what standard or what level of involvement he's had with that because we just can't comment. And I'm sure it was perfectly practical and all the rest of it, but he's ended up at Swindon right at the end of the window. He's essentially just before the Cardiff game. He's missed a lot of football, combination of injury and illness over the last 18 months, 2 seasons. And it is going to take him time, to just get back up to, the rigours. I personally, for every for every slight that you could make about Angus and his performances, I could also quote some absolutely outrageous last-ditch blocks where he's dug either, he's either recovered from a mistake that he's made or he's covered for mistakes that his colleagues are making. So I'm seeing enough from him to know that he's going to be an asset over the course of the season.
Well, that's sort of like what I'm sort of hinting at there, Hannes, there, because I think as a defender, he's been brilliant. It's just that he's just sometimes been a bit naive, or it looks like naive at this level on the ball, and he's been caught quickly because he's expected more time than he's really had, and that's the only flaw with him. I think as a defender, he's brilliant.
He's probably, the other thing as well, though, to be fair, Chris, is that, maybe he's been caught out by a little bit by the, his perception of what the quality of League Two is. I think, there are a lot of very, very good footballers in League Two. You've only got to look at our squad as a prime example of that. And I don't know whether that's the case with Angus, but it may well be that he's trying to impose himself, and make decisions based on a perceived standard. And he's finding out that actually maybe League Two's a little bit better than he thought, bearing in mind when most of his football's been played of late. Yeah. But look, we've had a couple more tweets. I just want to read these out. So, hello, Dan Quince. Thanks for getting in touch. Dan says, we are good enough, but if you take off Wakeling for Jeffcott, it's just stupid at the moment. Now, I get your point, Dan. I think Jakey was quite keen to stress why that happened. I don't know whether you were with us earlier in the show. Jakey was explaining he took a couple of blows to the head in quick succession. And it was probably a little bit of caution on behalf of the coaching staff on Saturday, and he had to obviously then adhere to certain protocols after the game, but there haven't been any issues. So certainly it appears that he came off at the weekend because there was two consecutive blows to his head. Toby Cooks got in touch. Hello, Toby. Good evening to you. Toby said, I think we really need to try a few things differently Saturday in midfield. Darcy needs a chance, and Ricky Aguiar as well. I would love two up front as well. Who would you guys bring in and drop out of the side? I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind taking that. I'm a big fan of Saidu Khan. Spent a lot of my life living in and around the London-Kent border. Know a lot of Maidstone supporters, and appreciate we are talking Maidstone, and obviously they have either been a division or two below where we currently find ourselves. So I do take that with a pinch of salt. But he's obviously very, very well thought of for Chesterfield last season. They were a division just below us. I would still probably give Saidu a bit of a rest, and I would bring Darcy into midfield at probably the expense of Saidu Khan at the moment if I was going to be really pressed. And I would like to see us operate with a 4-3-3. I think I'd probably go, whilst he's not a winger, I'd probably go Willow on the left. I would go Jakey Wakes on the right, and I would go with Jeffcott up top. I would go with Darcy, Gladwin and Reed as my midfield. I would go with Lavinia at right back, who I thought was excellent on Saturday. Got in some very, very good both defensive and attacking positions. Did a super job. Really exciting signing. I'd stick with Angus, Tommy Clayton and Fraser Blake Tracy, and I wouldn't make any changes in the goalkeeping department. Obviously, we're a little, if anything, I think we're a little threadbare currently in terms of options in goal. I hope that answers your question. Right, what else have we got here? So Abby just said to say about Jacob Wakeling, I love this man. Yeah, Abby, join the queue. There's increasing numbers of people that are tweeting in tonight saying that as well. Jason Lane has said to say Jerry Yates 2.0. Yeah, we touched on that before. It's great to see more and more people drawing those conclusions. And we had another couple flash up as well. Just bear with me as I find those. Dean McMackin. Hello, Dean. Good evening to you. Dean said, I swear I can hear a magpie attacking Charlie Austin on the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge earlier. Yep, I think you're probably of the right opinion. Thankfully, both Charlie and Hunter got away injury-free. Daz, I do apologise. We couldn't get around to your question, mate. I've noticed that you sent one in for Jakey. Unfortunately, mate, my bad. I've missed that. Nothing criminal about it. What we got here? Kieran Sprawls. Good evening, Kieran. Kieran saying, I think Darcy needs a chance in his natural position. He's such a good footballer and offers so much in midfield. And I want to see Jeff Wakeling in the same team. And Gladders has been my player of the season so far. Kieran, you are not going to find me arguing with that. Dan's replied, yes, Dan, thank you, mate. Appreciate we're having a conversation here via the show, via your tweets. But Dan said, that's fair enough then. I hadn't noticed that being the blows to Jakey's head. But surely we need to go very attacking with Darcy, Wakeling and Luke Jeffcott on Saturday. Again, you're not going to find me arguing with you there, Dan. Pierce W36. Hello, Pierce. He says, what do you think our playing style, our style of play is and game plan is, as I haven't really identified a clear style of play as of yet. I'll bring the guys back in. Mike, it's been a while since I've spoken to you. I mean, that's an interesting point that Pierce is making there. What do you think of what do you think our style of play is and our game plan is? As Pierce hasn't really identified a clear style of play as of yet. It's a fair comment. I mean, it was one of the things I was getting quite frustrated with was the patterns of play and the tempo of our play on Saturday. What did you make of it? And how do you feel about our style of play? Because the gaffer was very, very clear, wasn't he, when he first came in at the start of the season about what we could expect. Do you feel that we're necessarily seeing what it was that the gaffer has promised us? Like, where's your head at?
I 100% get where Pierce is coming from, and at the moment it does sort of look like almost we're caught between systems. But the entire point of getting a director of football is to have continuity between managers, right? And I do think Swindon has an identity that they're looking to implement. I just think it's the execution of it at the moment that isn't really coming off. And as I said, we're still sort of switching between formations. You know, obviously we started off with 3 at the back. Now we've switched to 4 at the back. Personally, now I'm an advocate of almost ironically switching back to 3 at the back. But it's only because we have the fullbacks now to make that system work. And I've seen a lot of people write about it. I think at the end of the day, Swindon clearly want to be a possession-based side where we take control of the game and create lots of chances through working the ball out to the half spaces and out wide, and then booting it across goal, whether that's through the air or sort of cutting it back at the touchline. And it is sort of very, very modern, progressive football that we're looking to play. And when it works, as it did, a la Wellens or a la Ghana, it is some of the most beautiful free-flowing football I've personally seen in League Two. I mean, when you look at some of the goals we scored, especially under Wellens and Ghana as well, there were some absolutely beautiful goals. I remember there was almost sort of like a Barcelona-like move back to front under Wellens, and Doyle sort of finished it off right at the edge of a box. It was sort of peach into the top corner. So yeah, I completely get where Pierce is coming from. I reckon give us a few more games to sort of really figure out the identity and sort of get those roles click in between each other, and hopefully a more clear sort of identity will emerge.
Well, Mike, look, SM1 Insiders come back again with talking about midfield options. Said some very good midfield options on paper. I'll give you that. Albeit an argument, we miss a combative defensive midfielder. If only Lydon was reliable. By that, I'm guessing we're talking about his fitness there, SM1 Insider. The jury's out on the majority of the rest of the now. We'll know more this time next week. Well, we will indeed. And the great thing about football, SM1 Insider, is opinions are like a-holes. We've all got one. All I would say is that I think Jakey's made a very, very interesting point. He's stuck his neck out there. He said, look, clearly they all believe in each other. Need the fans behind them. Stick with it. But I don't think any of us are denying the fact that we've got two really, really big games coming up, just in terms of a barometer as to of how the fans are feeling at the moment. And getting the fans appealing to get the fans on side and actually getting them on one side are obviously are two very different things. Mike, you'll be pleased to know Martin's been on, and Martin on Twitter says, Mike, with his smoother voice and majestic beard, what a dreamboat. Now, he's clearly after a 3 pint on Saturday. I'm afraid we don't program that kind of stuff here, Martin.
I've got to say, Martin's not the first person to try it on. I've had one or two marriage proposals. Well, I wouldn't say marriage proposals, but I've had a few flirty people at the bar. So, Martin, get in the queue, mate.
Lovely to have Rashawn Hepburn Murphy listening. Rashawn, it was a real eye-opener, mate. I'm pleased you've tuned into my show. I really enjoyed listening to your show earlier. I would recommend Mr. Hepburn Murphy's Twitch stream to anyone that's listening in. Make sure you head over onto Twitch if it's a platform you're unfamiliar with. Just search Twitch on Google, get yourself on there, and search up Rashawn Hepburn Murphy. It's brilliant. Was open to all questions, answered plenty of things that I posed to him. And really, really, really excited, Rashawn, to see. I think you were mentioning that you're hoping to be back in action within sort of like hopefully 3 to 4 weeks. I hope you can beat that, mate, and get yourself in a town shirt a little bit livelier than that.
Another thing about Rush's Twitch as well, Hannah's. Put a little comment in there saying obviously he's playing Call of Duty, so I thought we'll try and test his allegiances early on. Put in there, shoot your gun if you hate Oxford. He did it in stop and he fired his gun a little bit. So with a smile on his face too. So
brat,
I think we like
what
we see. Rush hates Oxford.
Rush, what a guy. What a guy. Mate, you can keep that up. That's how you're going to win over the town end. And one thing that I will also tell you is that Rush has got no shame. He has promised the Twitch stream, all those that were listening in, that when he gets his first goal in front of the town end, he is going to absolutely mimic, take over the Harry McCurdy celebration. So we're going to have Jacob Wakeling with Trust Me Daddy, and we're going to have Rush giving it the Archer at the town end. I love to look at that. I'd love to see McCurdy's face when you pull that one out of the bag, Rush. So thanks for listening in, pal. And best of luck with your recuperation and your battle for fitness, mate. We look forward to seeing you in a red and white Swindon Town very, very soon. So, right. So, listen, I mean, we were hoping, we've been delaying a little bit, guys. We've just been shuffling our pack a touch because we were hoping to get Ryan Whelan on tonight. Given the nature of Ryan's job, it's unsurprising that certain things pop up during his week that he has to go and address. And so Ryan has sent us his sincere apologies. He's hoping to get on before we finish because he really does want to share with us his inside track on the Harry McCurdy sale, the fact that he was able to break the story. Exactly the same scenario in relation to the Jack Payne story and also the Lewis Ward story. No particular reason why he just pure fortune that he's ended up sort of being tied in journalistically to 3 departures as opposed to any incomings at town at the moment. But he's got some very, very interesting observations. So if we don't get Ryan on tonight, we're going to hopefully get Ryan on. Going to see if we can get him on for the show that we'll be broadcasting live from the Legends Lounge on Saturday. So hopefully we can get him on the show Saturday. If not, it will certainly be the following Wednesday. Right, I've got a few more tweets that are rolling in. Quincy's challenging Rashawn Hepburn Murphy to a 1v1 on COD. Well, as I say, Dan, just get yourself onto Twitch, mate. I'm sure if you guys are sharing some messages, I'm sure you can get that hooked up. But we would love to see a Swindon fans versus Swindon players COD tournament. That's maybe something that we can work on. Nathan has echoed what Martin's saying in relation to Mike. Talking about his smooth voice and majestic beard and how cool it was. My God, okay. Well, that really is a loving, isn't it?
I am loving this.
Well, Rush is loving the idea that Dan's proposing of a 1v1 on COD. So, yeah, he's up for that. Ian Rogers just bringing us back down to earth with a dose of what he sees as reality. Ian is saying, nobody mentioned Lindsay's post-match interview. Well, give us a chance, Ian. We can only mention things if you're going to raise them. Seeing as you've raised them, let's discuss it. So nobody mentioned Scott Lindsay's post-match interview. He sounded like a beaten man. How can he possibly motivate his players? Very concerning, as we've only played a few games. It's very concerning. I agree with Jake. This squad is definitely better than current results. Well, look, I mean, it's an interesting point, isn't it, guys? And I don't know who wants to jump in on this. I mean, Chris, listen. You are a journalist by trade. You will understand, and you will certainly have had more sort of face time with people in the game than many others of us here. Like how difficult is it for Scott Lindsay to, he openly said at the start of the season, didn't he, that media is not his strongest point. He knows it's something that he's got to sort of step up and do more of. how he's kind of learning on the job, isn't he? But media is one of those things where he's not going to be cut a lot of slack, is he, in the eyes of the fans, Chris, when he's going to be getting interviewed at the, the emotional end of the day, shall we say?
Well, no, it's not as well. And then when you've got someone who's not comfortable in the media, and when things aren't going well, fans will be quick to jump on that and take the negatives out of it. It's tough on him as well, because he's just never done it before. And when things aren't going well, fans are going to come into it and take all this, every little negative part of it.
Mm. So, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Like, it's an emotional game. It's very, very difficult. I mean, again, like what the players will see is important. It's not like the players are sort of pitch side when he's speaking to Andrew Hawes and Johnny Leafield and the rest of the team. It's not like. Again, it would have been a very interesting question to have posed to Jakey, and we'll have plenty of players coming on between now and the end of the season. So I'm sure that we're going to be able to pose it to them. But the stuff that's important to us isn't necessarily stuff that's important to a dressing room full of players, is it?
It's not, though. But also, Mark, we need to remember as well, and people are getting frustrated after 7 games. But we need to remember, like. We look at our team from last year. How many members of this team were here last year? 3.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much a completely new team, and you don't gel instantly. It takes time. Look at last year. Mansfield for half the season, Bristol Rovers for half the season, and once then they started gelling. They started playing well. And we've even had that for ourselves with. Like saying DiCanio, going back to the that Macari season and whatnot. It's when it's a whole complete new season. It takes time.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen. I mean, we'll park Gills for the time being. We've got quite a few other bits and bobs to catch up, and conscious of time. But certainly, I don't think there's going to be a Swindon fan that's going to be listening to this that won't have been shocked and horrified at news that broke. On Saturday evening, Sunday, that Hallam Hope suffered very serious injuries following Oldham's game with Chesterfield. The story, we need to be very careful what we say here, because this is now an ongoing police investigation. So you'll have to excuse us if we're not exactly laden with opinion at this stage. None of us want to find ourselves in a courtroom being accused of, perverting the course of justice or such like. What I will say is that reports seem to be suggesting, or there are reports that have confirmed that the injuries were sustained in the players' area or the players' car park outside the stadium. And that Hallam Hope's receiving hospital treatment that is expected to keep him out of football for a lengthy period of time. I mean, now listen, Hallam Hope is not somebody that I know personally, but certainly I have heard the pros talking about Hallam Hope as a character, and I've only ever heard positive things about him. I mean, listen, it's not really for us to debate too much, but I mean, I'm guessing, Mike, I'll bring you in at this stage. I mean, I'm guessing you were probably as surprised or shocked as I was to hear that a professional like Hallam Hope has been injured in such a manner outside an English football stadium. It's the fact that he's an ex-Swindon player just sort of brings it home a little bit closer, doesn't it? That that a guy suffered those injuries. So suffice to say, obviously, we wish him all the best. But what was your initial reaction, mate, when you saw the news?
Oh, mate, it was genuinely just sickening. Like, when I first heard about it, I read that there was a player who'd been attacked, and it only sort of emerged later. Some more sort of rumors or details, I guess, of what happened. And yeah, it was just absolutely horrendous to hear that. It was Hallam. Obviously, it's horrendous to happen to anybody, but obviously, I personally really liked him when he was at Swindon Town. I thought he was quite industrious, and another hard worker, and he's a really nice lad as well. And it's just so, as I said, just sickening to hear that's happened to any players. And obviously, especially what happened at Vale last season, with our players getting attacked on the pitch. It's just something you absolutely you can't tolerate whatsoever. I hope whoever did it gets charged, and same for anyone who sort of commits that kind of violence. It's just not on.
Well, the good news is it would appear that both clubs have got a significant amount of evidence that's been passed on to the police, including CCTV. Appears to be CCTV of the incident as well. So, obviously, look, from our perspective, speaking as a Swindon Town fan Twitter space, but also, just a bunch of Swindon Town fans. A player that's generally really well regarded around Swindon. We send Hallam and his family all our best for a speedy recovery. I was hoping, and I've still not received any information yet, so unless you guys can usurp me on Twitter, but Swindon Town women, not the best result of the weekend. The development side went down 9-1 to a very, very strong Bridgewater United side. 5-0 down at half time. The development squad made a few changes. There was improvement in the second half from Adam Wood and Ethan Thomas's squad, and the final score, so obviously 4-1 second half result. So a bit of an improvement of sorts. I've not got the full story from the guys. I appreciate we did have Adam listening in earlier. If Adam is still listening, wants to jump on, Adam, just send us a speaker request, mate. We would love to hear your story from the weekend. The ladies were playing tonight. The development side were playing the Army at an Army location somewhere in Wiltshire, we're led to believe. And on Thursday, so tomorrow, the first team are going to be playing the Army women's team as well. So we'll certainly have an update, and hopefully we'll have a couple of the players with us on Saturday to take us through that result. Obviously, we had the ladies with us at last week for the Palace game. We were over the moon as a consequence of meeting both Helena Diaz Butcher and Annie Colston. That I was able to agree that the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge is going to be sponsoring both of the players for the forthcoming season. Absolutely chuffed to be able to provide our backing to both of the women for the entirety of the coming season, and hopefully into next season and beyond as well. Two absolutely delightful individuals. I think the thing that really struck me, and I know Martin, who's listening in tonight, will certainly echo this, is that obviously whilst there has been a significant injection of interest into the women's game over the summer, there is still a lot of work to be done to ensure that the financial influx, for want of a better word, coming into the women's game and the increase in interest is also kind of translating into funding that actually makes the women's game far more professional, for want of a better word. So a lot of the ladies are still paying, almost like those of you who play Sunday football will remember paying your subs, paying your annual fees, etc. A lot of our women are still in a position where they're doing that. So it was brilliant that we could make a tangible difference to some of the two key members of the squad. And all I would say is please do look on the Swindon Town Women Football Club's Twitter feed, because I noticed today they've uploaded links as to how you can get involved as a potential sponsor. And like I said, it really does make a direct difference to the women's ability to compete at the level which they're competing at. So please do get involved. But as I say, we wish Lanes and we wish Annie all the best for the coming season, and hopefully we'll be telling more of their stories, getting them back on as the season progresses. Well, look, Joe, I'll get you back on now. We'll just sort of have a little bit of a wrap up by looking ahead to Newport. We've already talked about Newport's record. I mentioned it for a third time. Drew their opening game, 3 consecutive defeats, couple of wins and a defeat. How are you feeling ahead of Saturday? I'm going to be asking you for a prediction. I'm going to be asking you for a lineup, and I'm going to be asking you whether or not you'd rather have our record or Newport's, as balmy as that question might seem.
There's a lot there. So I think in terms of the record, I'd probably rather ours, just purely because, I feel like if you're going to sum up our season in a short sentence this year, it's probably just we're hard to beat. Once we start finding the net, 3 points will come, because Sol Bryn just looks really assured. I think the centre-backs, and I think an underrated signing has been Fraser Blake-Tracy. I think he's come in, and I think going forward he's looked quite good. He's contributed, but he looks fairly sure at the back as well. So I think the defence is looking good. Once we start finding the net, which obviously Luchev has been brought in to do so, we should be okay. So yeah, I'd rather ours. We've looked secure, I'd guess, without being spectacular. In terms of predictions for Saturday, if I go for the starting 11, I'll go Bryn, Lavinia, MacDonald, Clayton, Blake Tracy in a back four. I'll go Reed sitting with Darcy and Gladwin ahead in eights. On the right, if I go three up top, I'll go Jakey Wakey on the right to cut in. Off the left, we'll go maybe Tyrese Shade and then Jeff Cott up top.
Interesting. Okay, so Johnny Williams omitted from your starting lineup and Saidi Khan omitted from your starting lineup then?
Yeah, I think obviously Khan didn't start last week, did he? No, he did. He started, didn't he? Come on.
Oh, he did. Yep.
Yeah, I think Johnny and Saidi could do with a bit of a rest. I always think Johnny looks better coming off the bench anyway. I just think when he's up against some tired legs, I mean, the guy's got twinkle toes. He's got sort of magic in those boots in terms of footballing ability at a League Two level. I just think he's so effective off the bench. I remember a game last year. Did he come off the bench against Mansfield at home when Tyree Simpson scored his first goal?
Yes, he did.
He tore Mansfield an absolute new one when he came off the bench.
Yeah, and the bench and played down the left-hand side as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that would be my substitute if I'm going to make a sub before the game. Probably looking at Tyree Shade, sort of, stretching his legs and getting at the right back or the right centre back, getting them down in terms of stamina, tiring them out a little bit, and then bringing on Johnny Williams to sort of confuse him with his feet.
Now, it was interesting because you and I both went to the Crystal Palace under-21 game, didn't we, Joe? And
yeah.
Obviously, we were, we had a vantage point. We were in the Arkles for the first half, and then we managed to switch ourselves round to the Town End in the second half, where we watched the game from behind the goal. And it was interesting because listening to and picking up with Andrew Hawes after the game, sort of Andrew was of the opinion that Shade was having an absolute blinder, like easily one of his best games.
He looked really good. He did look good. It's just he needs to. I think maybe more in terms of the final product, being more decisive. But that's only going to come with playing games of football.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I mean, Shade suffers, in my mind, I've said this a few times this season when we've been analysing games, Shade, a quote, in inverted commas, suffers from the same kind of criticism that Ben Gladwin gets at times in terms of the way he moves around the pitch, because he's got a kind of very gangly style where he's actually motoring, but it doesn't look like he's motoring because he's got such a big stride.
Yeah.
But obviously hit the post against Palace, didn't he? He seemed to have a sort of a weekend. The sort of feedback that I was getting from town fans that made it to the game on Saturday was that he it was a lot of toil. But all right, well look,
our best chances in the game are where we came closest to scoring come through Tyrese.
Yep, they did
on Saturday. He had a few good shots cut in from the left hand side, firing near post. He's one of those players. I genuinely get the feeling if he gets one goal, he'll go on a massive run of 4 or 5 in a row. I think he might be one of those streaky players, like a bit like a young Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record in relation to Tyrese Shade because I just don't want him to end up being one of these players that because he can operate in a number of roles, he ends up sort of suffering from his own versatility. I would love the gaffer to just say to him, right, okay, you are going to be one of the front three or you are going to be in X position and that is your spot. I'm not going to have you playing as a makeshift fullback. I'm not going to have you here, there and everywhere.
He's definitely not a fullback.
Yeah. 100%. Although obviously the gaffer has made it clear that he can play there if required, but then so can Ellis Iandolo. And I think if you ask Town fans where they would have Ellis, they would say left centre midfield all day long.
Exactly. Sol Brink can play up front if you put a red shirt on him.
Oh, all right, you big bitch. Don't start
getting. I'm just saying.
Don't start getting all petulant, Joe Vincent. That's not helping anyone, is it? Right, Chris, I'll bring you in, mate. So, sorry, Joe, I didn't get your prediction, did I? Or if I did, I'm sorry.
8-0 Town.
Ah, come on. Right, that's it. You've blown a gasket, haven't you?
Okay, no. 3-1 Town.
Town with Sol Bryn up top. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's on FIFA. In real life, I'll go 3-1 Town. Jephcott, 1 goal. Jacob Wakeling with the 2.
Amen, brother. Chris, let's bring you in then, mate. So similar conversation, mate. Let's have a lineup from you, and let's have a prediction from you, please, pal.
Oh, this is a really tough one for me. Just to, I do think we need to mix it up. So obviously the goalie is obvious, so I'm not even going to say who that is. And then we're going to have Blake Tracy left back and Lavigne right back, Clayton and McDonald in the middle. So I think we're pretty safe on, pretty sure on the fact that that's what our back four is going to be, a back four and goalie.
Solid.
But it's when we get into the midfield and attack where we get interesting. Now, I don't think Lindsay's going to do it, but I would want to see Aguiar in there. But now it's how to fit him in.
Mm.
So I do think we need to mix that midfield up or the midfield and attack a bit. So let me see that we're going to have. I'm going to say
you are the epitome of every single Swindon Town fan's mind right now, Chris.
Yeah, but it's such a tough thing because
reflective.
It's such a tough thing because we do need to mix up. So I'm going to say, let's say Aguiar. Let's give him a chance. Aguiar with Reid at the base, and I'm going to say Gladwin. Then I'm going to say Darcy, sort of at the top of a diamond, with Wakeling and Jephcott up front.
Interesting.
With Williams coming off after 60 minutes and turning the game.
All right. Well, we'll take that. And what's your score going to be, Chris?
3-2.
3-2. Right, you are. Mike, same for you, please, mate. Let's have your lineup, your prediction.
Lineup. Obviously, Brill. Well, he is Brill. Brill Bryn in goal. Left back, Blake Tracy. I mean, personally, like I said, I'd like to see a 3-5-2, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm assuming it's going to be a 4-3-3. Left back, Blake Tracy. Centre backs, McDonald, and personally, I want to see more of Clayton, but I imagine Bowdry's probably going to play. So either Clayton or Bowdry as the other centre back. Right back, Lavigne. Obviously Reid, DM, and then our centre mids. I agree with Chris. I'd like to see more of Aguiar. I'm not 100% sure he'll play though, so it's going to be Sadiq Khan and. I'd like to see either Darcy or maybe Willow. Let's just say Darcy for now because he's got that great chant. And left wing, I'd like to see Shade there. I'd like to see Shade on the wing. Put obviously Jephcott in the middle, and then put Wakey on the right wing. I reckon that'd be a nice lineup to see.
All right, then, mate. Well, let's have your prediction.
Score prediction. I'm going to go conservative. I'm going to go 1-0. I reckon it's going to be a 1-0 win Town.
1-0 win Town. Well, Nathan's just tweeted in to say it's worth remembering we've got a big game on Tuesday night, so he's expecting Scott Lindsay to mix things up a bit. Yeah, there's a good chance of that, Nate. I think, to be honest, I can possibly see, just by considering that, I can see that probably might make a decision to rest Johnny Williams on Saturday. Might make it a little bit easier for him. Johnny had an absolute screamer of a game away at Sutton last season. So who knows? Who knows? I mean, look, you guys have already had my lineup. I am... You know what? I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and say, like, listening to Jakey tonight, listening to some of the input from Charlie, listening to that Leyton Orient fan I've been engaging with today, listening to a lot of people sort of talking tonight. I've got do you know what? When this side clicks, if this side clicks, someone is in for an absolute spanking. And I've got a sneaky feeling that could well be Newport on Saturday. If not Newport on Saturday, that could well be Sutton on Tuesday. But I think just based on current form, it's probably more likely out of the two to be Newport County. So I'll tell you what, I am going to go for 4-1 Town. And I'll tell you who's going to get the goals. I do think you're going to see Jeff Cott start. I think you're going to see a couple, and you're going to see that rewarded with a couple of goals. I think Jakey Wakes is going to score, and he's going to rush to the Town ends and scream, "Trust me, Daddy," at the top of his voice. And I think we're going to have Ricky Aguiar off the bench is going to score a set piece. So that will do me nicely. Well, look, whilst we've been running through this show, it's been a big night of European football. So just to give you some of the highlights, not been a tremendous night for Great Britain in the Champions League, where Rangers have been beaten 4-0 by Ajax of Amsterdam. Napoli have turned over Liverpool 4-1. Charlie Austin's beloved Liverpool to make his morning on TalkSport tomorrow. Avoidable if he could. Atletico Madrid beat Porto 2-1. Club Brugge beat Bayer Leverkusen 1-0. Barcelona have put 5 past Victoria Pilsen. Inter Milan have lost at home to Bayern Munich. Eintracht Frankfurt have lost at home to Sporting Lisbon. And Tottenham Hotspur have beaten Marseille at White Hart Lane. Mbemba was sent off for Marseille on the 47th minute, and Richarlison has scored twice. So congratulations if you are of a Tottenham persuasion. But listen, we're I will consult with Jakey Wakes and Dan Designs on who's going to win the Dan Designs Jacob Wakeling print for best question of the night. Chris is giving me a hammering for calling the Spurs Stadium White Hart Lane. Sorry, Chris, call me a man of tradition. But so we'll come back to you on the winner of the Jakey Wakes print. So keep your eyes out for that. And we are going to be back in your ears on Saturday, where we'll be broadcasting from the Legends Lounge. We're due to be starting at 1:00, but I don't mind telling you my travel plans, if they all go well, might mean an earlier than expected start. So you never know. We may have a midday start for you on Saturday, but we'll see how we go. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. What a night. You've heard from Charlie Austin. You've heard from Jake Wakeling. What a lovely young man he is, and what a credit to our club he is going to be. Loads of lovely input from you lot. Again, this show really is going to live or die by the quality of its input from you guys. It's lovely that we can all listen. And you lot can hear our dulcet tones. But listen, where the magic exists is when you lot are all getting involved yourselves. So I'm pleased that increasingly more and more of you are tweeting in, sending in direct messages, and enjoying the live banter with us on the show. Going back to Saturday, lots of opportunities to win stuff. We're going to have hats from Seaside Reds. We've got pin badges we're going to be giving away. No doubt I'll be tossing a hoodie or maybe even a Hummel shirt or two up for anyone that might be interacting along the lines of tonight. But listen, it's been a real treat having you on. My thanks to Chris, my thanks to Joe, my thanks to Mike, and my thanks to all of you lot for listening in. Tremendous.
Before we sign off as well,
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Can we all just wish Mike a happy birthday by smashing a little love heart emoji for Mike?
Legends.
Yeah, man.
Let's all put a little love heart for Mike. Happy birthday, mate.
Happy birthday, big man. Happy birthday.
Much.
Look at the love that you're getting. Look, even your hearts. Even Ian sent your hearts. Come on, Ian. One more heart. Come on, Ian. Come on, Ian. I'm not going, Ian, until you send a heart emoji. Come on, pal. Play the game. Play the game. No, what an absolute yes, Ian, you absolutely. No, listen, it really is an absolute treat having you all on. It's a pleasure putting this on. As you know, the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge is a Swindon Town fan Twitter space, so the views do not reflect those of Swindon Town Football Club or indeed Sir Tom Broadbent himself, unless of course Sir Tom Broadbent is joining us from his home in the northeast. We look forward to catching up with you all on Saturday. Recorded show for anyone that's missed anything. This show is recorded. It will be available live on Twitter. And we are working to get our plans back up and running and get us into all of the podcast shows and back on YouTube. Again, we've had a few little sort of manpower changes behind the scenes, but we hope to have that sorted within the next week or so. But for now, guys, thank you ever so much. It's been our pleasure.